Eid al-Fitr is still in the air. We have reports from across the country, plus coronavirus situation in the country. We have the latest figures. This is Panorama on NTA. Eid Mubarak. I'm Ruth Aguele. Welcome. Muslim Ummah in Nigeria this Sunday joined their counterparts the world over in observing Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of the month-long Ramadan fast. President Muhammadu Buhari, who worshipped at his official residence in Abuja, advised Nigerians to strictly adhere to the dictates of health professionals in order to stay safe as Nigeria battles COVID-19. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
It is another moment of thanksgiving to Allah as the month-long journey of faith, sacrifice, obedience, and spiritual reawakening successfully comes to an end. But for the first time in the history of an independent Nigeria, Eid grounds were deserted. Worshipping is for now restricted to family units as coronavirus continues to ravage the global community. And indeed, showing leadership by example, President Muhammadu Buhari worshipped at his residence alongside the First Lady Aisha Buhari and the immediate family members. The chief imam of the State House Masjid, Ustaz Abdul Wahid Suleiman, who led the 2 Rak'at prayers, thanked Allah for his guidance, protection, and mercies during the blessed month and prayed fervently for an end to the coronavirus pandemic as well as other adversities of life. He, however, said Muslims must ensure that the great virtues and values of peace, love, forgiveness, and charity imbibed during the holy month are kept alive. Special prayers were also offered for national unity, stability, as well as sustainable growth and development of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari, who spoke to NTA News shortly after, pleaded with Nigerians to take responsibility in controlling and containing the coronavirus pandemic, which he maintains is real.
They can see that COVID-19 has reduced us, when I say us, both the developed and developing country to the same level. In fact, we have less casualties than they have. So it is a very frightening development, and I advise Nigerians to be very careful to take the advice from the Ministry of Health. The Minister of Health has been doing very well, speaking and educating people generally. So Nigerians, we should be very careful.
While promising that there will be no complacency in the fight against COVID-19, President Buhari, however, made a case for the nation's farmers to also take responsibility in feeding Nigeria.
I hope the rainy season will be bountiful. We'll get a lot of food. I wish the farmers will go and stay in the land so that we can produce what we need sufficient, so that we don't have to import. In any case, we don't have any money to import food, so we must produce what we are going to eat.
We thank Almighty Allah for a successful completion of the holy month of Ramadan, despite the unusual circumstances we found ourselves. And I wish Nigerian women could follow the rules and regulations of the Federal Ministry of Health and also the NCDC regulations. And for those that lost their lives as victims of COVID-19, may the Almighty Allah forgive their sins and grant them a Jannatul Firdaus. And for those that are sick, we wish them a speedy recovery, and also we pray for the end of COVID-19 throughout the world.
As earlier announced by the presidency, due to COVID-19, President Muhammadu Buhari will not be receiving guests on Salah homage at the presidential villa. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Eid prayers were said at the various Jum'at mosques across Bidda Emirate in compliance with the Niger State government's directive on the Eid al-Fitr celebration. Esu Nukbe and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers, Alhaji Yahya Abubakar, observed the 2 Rakat prayer at the Usman Zaki Central Mosque Bidda. Jones Ajayi will tell us more.
The Bidda Eid prayer ground was under lock, which prompted the Muslim faithful to observe the 2 Rakat Eid prayer at the various Jumat mosques. The chief imam of Bidda, Sheikh Adamu Yakatu, led the faithful in the prayer. Sheikh Adamu Yakatu prayed the Almighty to wipe away the global coronavirus disease. He urged the faithful not to forget all the lessons learned during the Ramadan fast and to also put it in practice. Etunupe and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers, Alhaji Yaya Abubakar, facilitated with the Muslim faithful for concluding the Ramadan fast. He described the coronavirus pandemic as a trying period that God will surely bring to an end. Yaya Abubakar implored his subjects to observe good personal and environmental hygiene so as to curtail the spread of COVID-19.
We hope and we pray Almighty Allah to direct our leaders, political leaders, to come out with a very, very formidable plan to ensure that all the sufferings that people have gone through actually have been catered for.
Yaya Abubakar then prayed God to accept all the supplications offered during the just concluded holy month of Ramadan. Jones Ajayi, NTA News.
And in Benin, we hear there was security presence at the Eid ground and central mosques to avoid congregational prayers for Eid al-Fitr in line with safety standards. However, the ceremonial Rakat prayers were observed by faithfuls in their homes. NTA crew caught up with the worship in the home of the paramount ruler of the major Islamic town in Edo State. Let's hear from Agatha Egwari.
Security personnel stationed at the central Eid ground, which was empty as usual congregational prayers were cancelled. The chief imam of Benin, Abdul Fattah in Abulele, wants the faithful to sustain prayers against COVID-19.
You can spread your mat anywhere and pray. No, it's not necessarily must be in the Eid ground or in the mosque. Anywhere on the surface of the head, do it. God will answer your prayer.
In Auchi, a town in Edo North with the largest Muslim population in South Nigeria, there was no congregational prayer. The Otaru, Alhaji Haliru Momo Ekelebe III, observed the prayer in his home with members of his family. He says it is the first time in his life to observe Eid al-Fitr with only family members. But the fact that people are still alive to pray at home is sufficient reason to thank Almighty Allah.
That we are here as we never had gathered before to appreciate you in our inner minds, in our conscience. We thank you. We know that you have blessed this nation. We know that you will continue to bless the nation. And we know that very soon ease will come.
The clergy says even though the month of Ramadan has come to an end, the people must continue to live a holy life and never return to those sins they abandoned during the fast. In Benin, Agatha Egwarojo, NTA News.
Month-long Ramadan fasts over, Muslims across the country are celebrating Eid al-Fitr this year with a slight difference. While a few states allowed for prayers on the Eid grounds with strict adherence to health guidelines, many observe the compulsory Eid worship in their homes. Elizabeth Omoriyi put together the Eid prayers from across the zones. All right, we bring you that report subsequently, but let's have a discussion on Eid al-Fitr. We know that the 2020 Eid al-Fitr is obviously a unique one due to the coronavirus pandemic that has restricted human activities. We have in the studio Dr. Musa Ola Ofe. He's the Chief Imam and Saruddin Society of Nigeria. Eid Mubarak. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah.
From what is happening across the world, talking about the Eid al-Fitr celebration, what is the implication of this on the Muslim Ummah?
Well, it doesn't have any bad implication because it is pandemic, and when you see something pandemic is a little bit in the country, the most important thing is for you to be very careful in such a way that you should not try to let it exceed or move where other people can be infected, and that is why we call it a pandemic that makes it is conditional. It is not deliberate, and there is nothing bad. It is being observed in such a way. So it is Islamic, not un-Islamic, because according to the hadith of the prophets, if the pandemic if any problems in a particular country, do not go to that country. And if it is in that country you are staying or residing, do not leave or go to any other country. Remain there. So, and that's why you see it was well observed in such a way that everybody being very careful, you know, in order not to create problem for others.
Okay.
Because life is one.
All right, and according to the hadith, Zakatul Fitr plays a very important role, you know, in the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. Now, because of the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of people cannot observe that. What is their fate before Allah?
You see, there is nothing bad in them observing that, because Zakatul Fitr, nothing stops them from giving us Zakatul Fitr. Zakatul Fitr is what we give at the end of Ramadan fasting, and it is being given to the needy. You know, this is the best time that people needed it more than any other one.
Yes.
Because apart from the palliative the government gives to different individuals, if Zakatul Fitr should go around, then it will reduce the hunger. It will reduce the poverty.
Yes.
And it makes people to feel alike, to feel the same, the way those who have money feel.
So it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Please, it doesn't stop.
Okay, and visitation, we know, is part of the prophetic tradition. How are Muslims supposed to achieve this during this time?
Well, it is very, very important that the Muslims should see themselves as one family, come together under one umbrella. Either COVID-19 or not COVID-19, you know, the way we have been doing before, we exchange greetings, we do things in common, we help one another, we do all good things that believe that a good Muslims need to be doing. So we continue to extend all this so that to make that brotherhood very strong anywhere we are in the world.
So what are the lessons for Muslim Ummah after the Ramadan? You know, they have observed the holiness, a lot of things they have imbibed in their spirit. What should they, you know, practice afterwards?
You see, this is what we keep on saying every blessed year. Now, if you look at the COVID-19, has given us a very good lessons. We call it second chance at times. That those who have not been doing one thing or the other to support themselves, they just have to find a way of doing it. Because by the time we are locked down, we could not go to anywhere. If you have not been doing things before, then you become poor immediately. You become, you know, poverty will come immediately without any problem. So, and that is why it's the second chance for the Muslims to think twice that after this Ramadan, what else are we going to do? If you're a salary earner, then when you collect your salary, why can't you think of another thing that you can still add together with it to make your business more larger, so that the entire Muslim Ummah all over the world will have something to fall back when there's any problem, which you don't pray for anyone again. And you can see that government have been saying this time without number that we need to promote ourselves, promote agriculture, promote your business, promote everything. When you are doing that, you are showing the world that you don't rely or depend on one single work. So by the time you are doing that, after Ramadan, then we can now sit down now and start thinking. There are a lot of things that you see, a lot of things that will happen after this Ramadan.
Yes.
The thinking of the people will be more greater than the way you see them thinking before. Even the way they reason.
And if we're talking religion and worship of Allah, what is the message for humanity generally?
The message is that Allah has told us that we should be good to one another, observing our prayers regularly. Then if Ramadan goes, 5 daily prayers did not go to anywhere. Then if Ramadan goes, giving us zadaqah or charity does not go to anywhere. Then keeping friends as one family does not go to anywhere. So we have to continue doing the right thing at the right time to make that humanity more stronger than ever before.
And not leaving the place of love.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Musa Olaofe. He's the Chief Imam Ansaruddin Society of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, let's bring you latest update on COVID-19. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has announced 313 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The breakdown indicates that Lagos has 148 cases, 36 in the Federal Capital Territory, 27 in Rivers, 19 in Edo, 13 in Kano, 12 in Ogun, 11 in Ebonyi, 8 each in Nasarawa and Delta states. Others are Oyo 7, Plateau 6, Kaduna 5, Kwara 4, 3 each in Akwa Ibom and Bayelsa. Niger has 2 and Anambra 1. As at the 24th of May 2020, the total number of confirmed cases in Nigeria stands at 7,839. 2,263 have been discharged, with 226 deaths recorded. Kebbi State Government has received 61 almajiris reported to the state by Kano State Government. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who received the children at the IDP camp in Kalgo local government area of the state, assured his commitment to the education and further tests to determine their COVID-19 status. Usman Abdullahi Shehu completes the report.
The repatriated Almajiri who come from 6 local government areas of Kebbi State, comprising of 18 from Dundee local government, 13 Arugungu, 9 from Jega, 4 from Kalgo, 3 from Bagudu, and 1 from Suru local government areas. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who handed over the returnees to their respective local government chairmen to unite them with their parents, said the decision to return the Almajiri to their state of origin was unanimously adopted by the 19 northern states governors as an effort to fight COVID-19 and address the lingering Almajiri challenge in the region. The governor announced that Kebbi State government will embark on Almajiri census shortly after Salah to repatriate non-indigens back to their home states.
We don't want children going around begging for food because they owe it to society to look out for them. As much as we have challenges they are our future. So we'll pay attention and ensure that they get the best of care.
He commended Kano State Governor for subjecting the returnees to take COVID-19 tests before sending them back home. The Chairman State COVID-19 Task Force, Jafar Muhammad, who affirmed that all the 61 Almajiri returnees were certified negative of COVID-19, said others with positive case were left behind in Kano State at isolation centers receiving treatment. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Let's quickly go on a break. We'll be back shortly, so stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. The chairman Anambra State Council of Traditional Rulers and Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Alfred Achebe, has called on security operatives to rise to the challenge of curbing the increasing violation of interstate movement restriction put in place by the federal government to contain the spread of coronavirus in the country. Igwe Achebe made the call in an interview with NTA News. Let's hear from Uchenna Nwonkwe.
The global outbreak of coronavirus has repositioned human approach to several issues of life. The traditional institutions are not an exception. For the Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Nemeka Achebe, traditional council meetings have gone digital in adherence to restriction on public gathering.
Everybody has to take responsibility for his own life. It's my life that I'm trying to protect, but also is the life of the community. And that's basically the protocol that all of us have to maintain. What we've done is we've suspended all activities in the palace, but we are on WhatsApp and we are on Zoom. So we still run the affairs of the community by adjusting to the reality and using technology.
The Onitsha monarch is worried by the continued abuse of interstate movement restriction put in place by the federal government to check the spread of the virus.
And the president says no interstate movement. All borders should be locked. Stay where you are. And if you maintain that and maintain it effectively, then you can open your economy, your states, without any fear of infection, because infection comes from outside. It doesn't come from heaven, and so on. So it's important that the police do their job and the other security agencies do their job and maintain the border.
As the search for the coronavirus vaccine and cure continues, Igwe Achebe, however, wants his subject to adhere to the health experts' advice on the prevention of the virus. In Onitsha, Uchenna Nwokoyo, NTA News.
And in Enugu, the governors of the Southeast Zone have agreed to engage the Nigerian Center for Disease Control on the need to scale up testing of coronavirus in the zone, as the forum directs all Igbos living outside Igbo land to obey all extant COVID-19 orders, especially the presidential directive on interstate movement. In a communique issued by the forum after its meeting in Enugu, the governors also requested the Inspector General of Police to abide by the agreement reached with him on community policing composition in the Southeast Zone. Susan Eze reports.
In a 7-point communique presented by the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum and governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, the governors directed the people of the Southeast Zone to comply with the ban on interstate travels, the hygiene protocols and directives of their home governors and those of where they live, as the forum engages the National Center for Disease Control on the need to scale up COVID-19 testing in the Southeast. On security matters, the governors disagreed with the community policing composition formula contained in a recent communication to them from the Inspector General of Police.
The recent communication from the Inspector General of Police to our governors of Southeast on community policing composition is not in keeping with the agreement we reached with him during his last visit to the Southeast. In the circumstance, we cannot begin implementation of it until the program reflects our earlier agreement with the IGP. The Southeast governors and their leaders request the IGP to please revert to our initial agreement reached on community policing.
The forum, however, commended President Muhammadu Buhari on the progress of work at the second Niger Bridge and the Akanibiam International Airport, Enugu. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Part of the activities marking this year's Eid al-Fitr, the Nigerian Air Force has organized 2020 Chief of Air Staff lunch for the officers and men of the force in Katsina. Abdul Malik Hassan will tell us more.
A reception for the officers and men from different military formations is aimed at expressing gratitude to individual and collective sacrifices to foster spirit of comradeship, as well boost the morale of the soldiers in protecting the territorial integrity of the country against any form of external aggression. Addressing the troops, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, represented by Air Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo, commended the troops for marking this year's Eid al-Fitr celebration.
Notwithstanding, we should bear in mind that a lot is at stake in this war against banditry and kidnapping. We must therefore not allow ourselves to be taken unawares, and hence I enjoin all personnel to remain disciplined and not to relent in the effort towards ensuring safety and security of our citizens.
He said the force is committed to addressing the lingering security challenges in the state, which he said necessitated the deployment of the Air Force Special Forces to the frontline local government areas of Katsina State. Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo further commended the effort of the air officers for their commitment towards ensuring the security in the country, especially the Northwest. He urged them to comply with the health professionals' directive to guard themselves against the COVID-19 pandemic. In Katsina, Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
Let's look at security issues. The Nigerian military says the air component of Operation Hadirin Daji has neutralized close to 200 bandits in multiple airstrikes conducted at Ibrahim Maibai's camp in Jibia local government area of Katsina State and Kura in Zurmi local government area of Zamfara State. A statement signed by Coordinator, Directorate of Defense, Media Operations, Major General John Aneche. The airstrikes were executed on 22nd and 23rd May 2020 after a series of intelligence missions led to the confirmation that the two locations were being used as hideouts for some notorious bandit leaders, whilst also serving as collection points for rustled cattle. The air component employing Nigerian Air Force ground attack aircraft and helicopter gunships destroyed the makeshift structures in the camps, killing the bandit leaders and their fighters. Human intelligence sources later confirmed that close to 200 armed bandits were killed in the airstrikes at the target locations. The Chief of Air Staff has directed that additional assets be deployed to cover Kaduna, Niger, Nasarawa and Kogi states to frustrate any attempt of the bandits to relocate to adjoining states. Let's talk sports. Lagos State Sports Commission has distributed relief packages to athletes, including the persons living with disabilities, to reduce the effect of the lockdown induced by the coronavirus pandemic. The Sports Commission, on behalf of the Lagos State government, distributed the food items. Let's hear from Kende Lamidi.
Hundreds of Team Lagos athletes from all the sports and para-sports converged on Road Park Sports Center in Yaba and Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, to benefit from the kind gesture of Lagos State government through the Lagos State Sports Commission, the food items to assist the beneficiaries who are facing tough time at this period of the lockdown. The Lagos State Sports Commission, which had earlier gave out financial support to the athletes during the first lockdown, continued with the distribution of food items to athletes during the carefully planned exercise while observing the social distancing guideline. Some of the beneficiaries who lauded the gesture of the Lagos State government through the Lagos State Sports Commission said the food packages will alleviate their problems.
And this is another surprise they are giving to us.
But for you who wants to remember with special needs, we'll say a very, very big thank you.
They really tried. We appreciate them.
But we are very grateful that the Sports Commission has taken the physically challenged athletes into consideration.
The Sports Commission management had decided to give them 5,000 naira petty cash for them to sustain themselves.
75% of them are youth. We engage them through sport. Most of them make their livelihood through sport. But thanks to the government of Lagos doing some palliative measures.
The exercise is expected to continue with the next set of athletes receiving the relief packages. In Lagos, Kende Lamidi, NTA News.
We're done with Panorama. Thanks for your time. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.